Let's talk about sales presentations, okay? Everyone wants to have a killer presentation and they want an impact where they generate a result, which is basically they sell their product or their service. Now, it's all about giving a great level of value to your customers, but how do we make sure that we're going to have that presentation, or how are we going to set up that client for the very best presentation and the ultimate conversion? Step number one is it starts with the lead. When we follow up a prospect, when we're generating the lead, when we're positioning them for that in-home presentation or that on-the-stage presentation, we need to make sure that they are aware of what we're going to be doing. So it all starts with the lead and the information that we give that prospect with regards to what's going to be happening and how the presentation or how the sales process is going to flow. A lot of sales reps think that the presentation is the key critical part, but it's actually about how we position that lead in the beginning that makes, or position that client in the beginning that makes a massive difference to the end outcome. So that's number one. The second thing we need to do is we need to ask very good questions. When we ask good questions, we're seen as a specialist. We're not seen as someone who is trying to sell anymore. We're seen as a specialist that's asking the right questions so that we can provide a huge level of value to the client and steer them in the right direction for that product or service that they actually need. So it's really important that we're asking the right questions and that we're asking very good questions, because this will also show that you've got a high level of intellect and that you've got the best interests for that client going forward with regards to the process. And obviously that ends with a sale. And the third thing that in a presentation that you must be doing if you want to have a better conversion rate and more outcomes is you've got to be asking for the business. So many sales reps don't ask the client for the business. They leave the money on the table. They leave the process open for the client to get back to them. It's so important that in the process, you've just built up the lead, you've built up the prospect, you've now asked the right questions, you become a specialist in their eyes, and then they fail to ask for the customer's business at the end of the day, at the end of the presentation, at the end of the on-stage or in-home presentation, and ultimately they leave the sale sitting there. And what happens is if we don't assertively ask for the business, then what happens is that the client gets withdrawn, life gets in the way, and they don't ultimately do the business. They end up forgetting about those things. They may put it on the back burner. So it's always important to ask for the business at the end of the process, okay? So they're my 3 tips. If you want a killer presentation and you want to increase conversions in your sales, they're the 3 key points that you need to follow.